research. This, as I said, might be directed to the early career researchers or those that are, on the fence in terms of understanding how we have suddenly approached the research by naming, trying to classify, and trying to categorize. So I picked on phenomenology in research because in most of my our webinars, I can only count a few instances where people referred or presenters referred to this. So I hope it will ignite some interest in understanding phenomenology and understanding human experience in qualitative inquiry. So let's look at the global view here is that the phenomenological process looks at developing a shared understanding in improving or in clarifying our worldview. But you look at the fact that we have different individuals with different perspectives. So we are in the subjective realm of personal realities, such that we would like to define phenomenology as the study of structures of consciousness as experienced from the first person point of view. This has its origin and historical context from the early 20th century, primarily through the work of Edmund Husserl, where we have contributions from key figures such as Martin Heidegger, Maurice Merleau-Ponty, who focused on embodied conception, whereas Martin Heidegger expanded phenomenology from Edmund Husserl, the originator, into what he termed existential philosophy. So, what are the philosophical foundations? Husserl's transcendental phenomenology has its emphasis on pure experience from the personal perspective, and the concept of intentionality. What is it that one wants to do about that situation? Whereas Heidegger explored the meaning of being, and the interpretative nature of human existence when one wants to interpret the situation around them, or what will happen, or what has happened, or what is happening. The key concepts here are intentionality, where we are saying consciousness is always about something, and the lived world or life world, the pre-reflective world of lived experiences. According to my experience, what I have seen, right, that is the life world, and the being as the central question of existence. So, in research, phenomenology is important. Why? Because it helps us to understand human experience by providing deep insights into how individuals perceive the world around them. It captures a subjective or personal perspectives where it allows for a rich, detailed understanding of personal experiences. And it also enhances qualitative research methods by offering robust frameworks for analyzing lived experiences. What is the research design like in phenomenology? We have the phenomenological approach, which is going to focus on the essence of experiences and their meanings. Remember, we are investigating people and their experiences and what these experiences mean to them. It is highly subjective, it's highly personal. How do we select participants? We are going to have purposeful sampling of these individuals because we are looking for people with relevant experiences. Think about victims of war, right? So they have their own relevant experiences, and we will only, our exclusion-inclusion criteria will be those that were in the war situation, for example. So that's purposeful sampling. Then how would you collect the data? Some of the techniques include in-depth interviews, where you're going to have conversations to explore these experiences. So that means you have to be specific about what exactly you're going to ask. Why are you asking that? What probes are you going to use in order to push for more clarifications? So in-depth interviewing skills will be very, very useful here. And then observations, where you will note the behaviors and interactions in natural settings. And then, obviously, when you've gathered all your data, you would probably look at how you would propose to analyze this data. There's something called EPO, where it's non-judgmental. You're abstaining from judgment and bracketing. So suspending your preconceptions, your prejudices, to focus purely on the participants' experiences. That is very, very important because it is their experience and not that of the researcher. So it is important to suspend our preconceptions, our biases, analyze them, know them, and put them aside. We would also need to identify themes by systematically coding and categorizing data to uncover patterns, similarities, differences, contradictions that would be under the systematic coding and categorization in order to identify common themes amongst these individuals. Of course, now remember we say it is their experiences, it is the participants' interpretations. So we need to synthesize this meaning now, where we are going to integrate themes to form a coherent understanding of the phenomenon. That is very important because every research output must identify, it must explain or try to give meaning. What do these themes mean? What does the findings mean? So we need to integrate the themes so that we can form a coherent understanding of what we set out to find out. So a quick revisit of epoch and bracketing. What is this? This is the process of setting aside our biases to understand the phenomenon as it is, right? How do we implement it in research? There is need for continuous self-reflection and awareness during data collection and analysis. What am I doing right? What could be my bias here? Am I being judgmental? Am I giving meaning to the participant's experience in the correct way? So that means that you are setting aside your biases to reduce researcher bias. But as we are all humans, there are challenges, one of which is maintaining objectivity. How do you remain objective over a contentious issue? The need to regularly be reflective journaling and peer debriefing. That becomes a challenge. So what do we need to do then? We would need to debrief with research peers here and reflect on what has been done and how it has been done. Then that would mean that we're trying to minimize researcher bias. Then the next step perhaps would be identifying themes where we are coding transcripts, where we break down this data into manageable pieces and assigning labels. That is called coding. Now we can use AI tools to do that, and that is it's something that we grow into, and we are able to use these tools. Then you need to develop categories where you are grouping similar codes to form overarching themes, and then you ensure reliability and validity by using triangulation, where you are using multiple data sources, multiple ways of collecting this data, and then you can go back again, do member checking, where you confirm your findings with the participants. Tell me something, has this changed? Would you agree with this? And that ensures reliability and validity, because then your participants will confirm to say, yes, that is what I said, and nothing has changed, right? Then from there, we will probably need to synthesize and come up with the meanings of our collected data, our identified themes, by interpreting this data. That means understanding the essence of participants' experiences. That is very important. That must capture. So if you are immersed into your data and you're going line by line during coding, this should not be very difficult, because then you will see commonalities and you're going to group them, and you will come up with your themes, and then you try and give them meaning. Now you need to connect these themes to your research questions. A very important point, alignment, right? So when you ensure that these things that you've identified, they actually answer or address the central questions of the study, then it means the themes are connected to your research questions. The themes identified actually answer or address our research questions, which is important. That alignment is important. Then you need to present to find the most compelling way of presenting the findings, where you're going to use narratives and quotes from what the participants expressed to illustrate things vividly. That is important, because you want to use what the participants said, not everything, but something that is catchy to be able to make your story compelling. Then, applications of phenomenology, perhaps one would ask, but where can I use this? Well, there's many areas where we can do, where we would apply this. Psychology, when you're understanding experiences of trauma, for example, where this would provide insights into emotional and cognitive impacts of this trauma on the participant. Child abuse, children that live in very difficult conditions, war veterans, migrants, refugees. There's so many things that we could look at. In education, students' learning experiences, these are just examples, by the way. It captures the nuances of learning processes and the challenges faced by both students and teachers, as well as in healthcare, where we are looking at patient-centered care, where we want to enhance the understanding of what exactly the patients experience and what are their individual needs. Let's look at a case study. How do individuals experience and cope with trauma, for example, in psychology, where I would use in-depth interviews with trauma survivors, and maybe come up with themes such as resilience, support systems, coping strategies, because I'm looking at individual experience and coping with trauma. So those themes there, they should align with my research questions and implications for therapy here. It means we need to tailor interventions to individual experiences. We need to emphasize the importance of support networks within there's the carers in addressing individual needs. But not only that, in education, we will say what are the students' experiences with online learning, observations, interviews, questionnaires, engagement. Are the students engaged, or do they find it boring or limiting? Technological challenges, are they able to connect? Are they able to download? Are they able to do a whole lot of things? If they are not tech savvy, then that could be challenging. And then learning preferences, that would also be an interesting theme. So all this would give us implications such as the need to design interactive and accessible online courses, addressing technical issues proactively. And well, in healthcare, how do patients experience chronic illness? Where you interview these patients that live with those chronic conditions, where you'd come up with themes such as daily struggles, coping mechanism, healthcare interactions, and this will probably enhance patient support and education as implication, or personalizing care plans to individual needs. So in healthcare, we could also apply phenomenology. But there is, there are so many advantages where we need to say we have deep understanding of human experiences because it captures the richness and complexity of lived experiences. There is so much detail, very rich detail. Why? Because phenomenology provides comprehensive insights into the phenomena, and it's highly flexible and adaptable in the research design because you can apply it to various contexts and disciplines. But subjectivity, as we've already indicated, where researchers' perspectives may influence the interpretation, but it's good to be aware of that. Very time-consuming process because you need significant time to collect your data and analyze it. And also because it's based on individual experiences, it becomes kind of difficult to generalize the findings. They are context specific and may not apply to everybody. So, according to me, phenomenology is crucial for understanding human experience. Whenever there's human experience, we could apply it as it captures the richness and complexity of lived experiences, providing deep insights into personal perspectives. Methodologically, it involves in-depth interviews, observations, and bracketing to identify and synthesize themes. I think I like that in order to reduce researcher bias. But it's a wide range of applications: psychology, education, healthcare, enhancing practices by tailoring interventions. Remember, the purpose of research is to look for solutions, and intervention could be solution born out of a phenomenological study where we can even design interactive courses and personalize patient care such that there is a whole lot of future ahead of us where we can look at expanding into new fields such as technology, environmental studies, and social justice to capture diverse human experiences. Additionally, we can integrate it in qualitative methods like grounded theory, narrative analysis, and ethnography, which can enhance the depth and breadth of data interpretation. So, this interdisciplinary approach allows for a more comprehensive understanding of complex phenomena, fostering innovative insights and practical applications across various disciplines. Today, I stand with phenomenology as a research approach within the qualitative research paradigm, where the procedure would be the same. The development of research questions, uh, the utilization and implications of the relevant literature, which will then guide the collection of data, the textual description, the structural and thematic descriptions, findings and discussions, and contribution to the body of knowledge. I stand with phenomenology. How many would like to do it with me? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for such an incredible presentation.